So, welcome back to another episode of Healing Chat Podcast, a series where we invite different people, professional, and hear about their experiences and their view on mental health. So, today we have a very special guest, Alison, who is actually a friend of mine. She will be talking about her personal journey with mental health. So, welcome to our podcast.
Thanks
So,
for having me.
interestingly, we actually studied in the same primary and secondary school before. And I know you continued your bachelor degree in the United States. So, how would you define mental health and why do you think it's important to talk about? So, let me just start off a bit. I think it's important to talk about because our mental health is actually exactly as significant as our physical health, where there is an increasing trend in people suffering from mental illness, but there are still a lot of stigma about it. And talking about just helps to normalize these conversations and letting more people to know about mental health in general, especially in Hong Kong. So, what do you think about it?
I wouldn't really distinguish mental health and physical health because I feel like our body and our brain is so interconnected. Like, for example, if our heart is beating really fast, you can interpret it as like being very excited or like anxious. So I feel like your physical health really affects how you feel mentally, and how you feel mentally really affects how you feel physically. For example, if you're anxious, then your stomach like hurts or something. So I feel like mental health is just like part of our health, basically. And I think it's very important because if you care about your health in general, then of course it's important.
Yeah. So, can you describe like your journey with mental illness? Like, what do you first notice something was off? Like, I understand it's actually difficult for the younger us to actually know that we're actually suffering in mental illness,
Mm.
especially when it is not actually come and talk about in my own life or your own life. And people around me is just gonna say, I'm not strong enough. I'm thinking too much. I'm a pessimistic person.
I guess how I know something was off was um when like something when my helper left me when I was like 12. I started getting really depressed and I started thinking about like ways to die, but I didn't really care about that at the point. Like I thought everyone wants to die or something. And then I grow up and then always wanting to like have a end goal of like ending your life. But then when I was like 15 or something, I started having panic attacks. And then my teacher like was really good and she called my mom and like helped me find a psychologist, and that's when I got diagnosed. And at that time, I guess my coping strategy was always over exercising and restricting food. So like you can say like that's how my eating disorder developed too. So yeah.
Yeah, so talking about maybe your eating disorder, do you think there are some like biggest challenges you're facing currently with your mental health? Like, as you know, that healing journey is not linear at all. We always have ups, we always have downs in the journey,
Yeah.
right? So there are always challenges, but that doesn't mean that you're not improving in general.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Well, I did mention I did set an arbitrary deadline, and it's getting closer. And I guess like this kind of stupid deadline that I set when I was really young really impacts you, and I think it triggers my decline of mental health right now.
Yeah, so is there any like specific triggers that you've actually identified that is triggering your current struggles?
Um, I guess my inability to have a future career, like inability to hold my career in place. So I was actually a PhD student, but then because of my mental health struggles, I couldn't face the really harsh academic environment, and I was put in the like I was forced to go on medical leave, and that made me think that like, oh, like I cannot have a future anyway, so like why bother trying? So I guess that's my biggest trigger.
So yeah, sometimes it's actually difficult for us to identify our triggers because kind of we're not aware of it. But as if you're actually able to do it, it's actually benefiting your healing journey, right? So as it is more likely that we can try to avoid, I would say, or like develop some kind of coping strategy towards it.
Yeah.
So talking about like coping strategy, who has been your biggest support system during your journey and how have they helped? For example, your professional team, I'll say therapist, psychiatrist, or you have a group of friends that you're able to share stuff that you're struggling and they can either spend time with you or like chat or like give advice to you.
I think my biggest support system is definitely my family. They're always there, like yeah. And also I have a really good team of psychiatrists and therapists that's really readily available. Like I can just like chat WhatsApp my psych psychologist and like call her like if I have any crisis or anything.
Yeah, that's good to hear about that. So, how important is like community support in helping your with your mental health? As I have followed you both like Instagram and Threads, and I know you have kind of a lot of followers and people that have been supporting your healing journey. And yes,
Yeah.
I'm one of them, and I've been witnessing your journey, and this is where we started to know each other, right? So do you
Yeah.
think this is a resource that have been particularly beneficial to you, or do you think it's sometimes stressful for you, especially having a thought that you have to share like the best side of yourself?
I guess like there's two sides of the coin, right? But like I think it's really beneficial because like I'm a really introverted person in real life, so I don't really have a community or like a group of girlfriends or anything. So like actually having this community online makes me feel like, oh, like maybe I do matter, you know? And but yeah, I do feel the pressure of like getting better, but like yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you actually have like a good community support, which is actually really beneficial to your mental health. So, how do you practice like self-care? And do you think this is one of your coping strategies? I think both of us have kind of a similar self-care routine, which is like heading to the gym, whether it's like a cardio or like weightlifting training. This is where I find it really beneficial to my mental well-being.
Yeah, definitely. If I feel like I cannot solve something, I just go to the gym and walk on a treadmill or stairmaster or just lift some weights. Or go to yoga. I love yoga.
Yeah, so basically, because you don't have to think a lot during like those times where compare with like when you're like sleeping or like when you're just sitting, where you're like
Yeah.
basically overthinking stuff, right? So, what do you wish more people understood about mental health in Hong Kong? Like for me, I definitely hope that people are not going to criticize or label people with mental health issues as insane, right?
Mhm.
And having mental illnesses are actually similar as flu, I would say we wouldn't actually judge people with flu, right? So
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. So we have to like normalize it, which makes people more comfortable talking about it and seek help if they are struggling.
Well, I wish people don't think that mental health problem is a personal failure. 'Cause it's just like it's like what you say, like you won't blame yourself for having a flu, right? So people shouldn't blame that person for having a mental illness or saying that they're weak or something. And I think
Yeah,
that we sh we should look at mental health as like one of the disability. So like it's actually because it really hinders you, right? So
yeah,
you cannot like expect someone to perform at their like 100% when they're actually struggling mentally. So I think we need more empathy towards people
yeah,
with mental disorders.
yeah, totally agree with you. So, Is there any message that you want to tell to others who might be going through similar struggles, or maybe something that you wish that someone told you before that will benefit your journey with mental illnesses?
Um, I guess the message should be between stimulus and response, like you can choose. There's a space and like always always stay in that space and like choose how you respond. Like I really hate the saying of like it all happens for a reason. You're suffering for a reason. Like no, it doesn't have a reason, but you can choose how you respond to it. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So, what are some final thoughts do you have on the importance of mental health awarenesses?
I wish people can be more open to
Yeah.
yeah, just talking about their struggles, and you don't have to be fine all the time, and it's not toxic to be talking about that.
Thank you so much, Allison, for sharing your mental health journey. Story is a powerful reminder that recovery isn't being like perfect or always feeling like happy or like at the best, right? It's about progress, our resilience, and the courage to keep going even on the hardest day.
Yeah.
Like your honesty helps others feel like less alone, I think, and that's truly invaluable. To everyone who's listening, if you're struggling right now, please know that healing is not linear. That's always ups and downs. You're worthy of support and you don't have to walk um, alone. Reach out to someone you trust, seek professional help if you can, and remember, small help still move you forward. I hope you enjoy listening to the podcast. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.